Fat Man Recording Studio again in Lexington, Kentucky. Thanks for watching our videos. I am here today to talk about Pro Tools collaboration. With the outset of COVID-19 and everything going on these days, if you're like most bands, you probably can't get together, or you're apprehensive about getting together to rehearse or record or do just about anything. Well, lucky for us, Pro Tools has a collaboration feature that works online, and you can use it to connect to other folks. And as long as they have a copy of Pro Tools and whatever interface they might have at home, they can record remotely and then send you what they've done, so that you can record your own pieces in your own environment and then send them back. And you can all collaborate on one project file. Now the downside is that the collaboration feature of Pro Tools is not very user-friendly at all, and it requires a little bit of workaround and patience, a whole lot of patience. So what you have to do is essentially, Pro Tools collaboration all centers around the project file. The project file is the place where all of your changes get uploaded. If you add tracks, that kind of thing, if you change anybody's work, or you even change volumes or change panning or something, you put that up there on the project file. And the project file is what everyone turns to as their reference. It's the main point where everyone collaborates and comes together. So there's a couple of things you should know before we start the collaboration feature. First thing is you should be aware that you will need an Avid account, and you will need a copy of Pro Tools on your home machine, as well as the machine of every person you're trying to collaborate with. That's very easy to do. It wasn't always the case in the past. Pro Tools has historically been very expensive. So let me open this up and show you right here. So what you want to look for is Pro Tools first. If you don't already, assuming you don't already have a copy, or you're working with somebody who may not have their own copy, go to Avid and Pro Tools first. Just Google it. You can go to my.avid.com, whatever. But you'll need to create an account, and you will need to use that account to download Pro Tools first. So once you've installed Pro Tools first, here's what that is. Pro Tools now is essentially free. So Pro Tools first, kind of for educational and personal purposes, is totally free. It's limited, but it's not going to hold you back. And I'll explain why as we go. So the idea, though, is that everyone has their own unique copy of Pro Tools that they can work from. You can use this free copy, and then that way everyone, regardless of where you're at and what kind of system you have, may affect it. But regardless of where you are, you can always get a copy of Pro Tools first. And it's for all intents and purposes, of anybody not familiar with Pro Tools, it's the exact same as having any other paid version of Pro Tools. So it's actually pretty cool. So I recommend, if you're working with bandmates or with people that don't have a copy of Pro Tools, send them here, tell them to create an account, and tell them to get their copy of Pro Tools first. The other thing that is helpful to have, we'll go back to Google. This is where most people start, so that's what we're going to do, is something called Avid Link. So Avid Link it's like Pro Tools' own proprietary chat software. It's awful. I mean, it's terrible. It's so bad. But you'll need it because sometimes the features in the program are broken or aren't working or something like that. So you'll need to come over to Avid Link and do it here instead. So you download Avid Link, and it looks like this. So this is the primary menu of Avid Link. And this just tells you about your Avid account. So we have cloud storage. That's something you may need going forward. But for now, I think you've got like a gig or something free. So let's just focus on having the free, what comes with it right now. So, you know, you've got Pro Tools. You've got, in our cases, we have some effects bundles. Pro Tools first users probably won't see these or may not see these. That's fine. So, but over here, it defaults to products when it loads up. But if you go over here and click on home, it'll take you to just basically a general feed of everything going on in the world right now about, you know, collaborating and using Pro Tools and industry news and that kind of stuff. Then there's messages. You can use the messages to talk to people that you're collaborating with. And find talent is interesting if you want to look at it. It's just got a lot of folks who are willing to work on your project remotely. So if you need a guitar track, you could contact this guy, and he'll, you know, use his copy of Pro Tools and collaborate to send you a guitar track from far away. So that's pretty cool. Lounges, I don't know. These look like just message boards. I never go to them. And then there's the marketplace where you can buy products. Finally, at the bottom, you see Pro Tools projects. So I'm going to move Avid Link out of the way for a second. So this brings us back to just Pro Tools itself. So forget Avid Link, that's out there, but we'll come back to it. It's important to know how to use all these features, or how to start all these features and accomplish things both ways, both through Avid Link and through just Pro Tools, because again, Pro Tools collaboration is terrible, and it is not user-friendly in the least. So we're going to start back over. So now imagine that you have just gotten your copy of Pro Tools first, or whatever, the person you're collaborating with has just gotten their copy of Pro Tools first. Download it, it's running, and they see just a blank screen. So here's what I've got. I set up my master track as always. I've got my my microphone that you're hearing now, and then I put just a little reverb. I put a little reverb on there to make sure that the voice just sounds a little better for the ear. So, and then I've got some plugins and stuff, but don't worry about any of that. So basically, all you need, you got your input, you got a little reverb here. That's cool. So you're gonna go up to File, and then you're gonna click on Start Collaboration. As you can see, it took a minute for that to load up. So let me move this out of the way so I can sign in real quick. Hang on. Okay. So now we get this message that says the session will now be saved and duplicated as a project file. So what you want to do before you send this out to other people, you want to make sure that you have your own basic things set first. So you need to set your BPM, you need to set up your click track, and we have another tutorial on that. You will need to set up your project environment. Most importantly, though, I mean, if you're asking, let's say most scenarios are, I have a song at my studio I'm working on, and I need somebody to do a guitar part or a vocal part or a violin part or a flute part or whatever it is. So you can tell that person, tell your musician, just download your copy of Pro Tools first, and then you make your project file. You set up everything like we've talked about, click track, inputs, and then you also want to give them whatever information they're going to need in order to work on your project. So you're probably going to want to send them WAV files. So we're going to cover that in part 2 about actually sending the project and what happens when you make these files and what changes you want to automatically send to somebody else and what changes you don't. So right now, what we're going to do is just talk about the project. So what it does is it takes your original Pro Tools project, and now it converts it to your Pro Tools session file, and now it converts it into a project file. This project file is going to be the first source of collaboration between you and whoever else. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and it's going to close your session and open your project. So from now on, your session, everything you've done in your session is going to be saved there, and your project is now going to pop up, and this is where the collaboration starts. So we hit OK. Now you see it's creating project.